Hey guys, I'm making this video for if you were gone today, Thursday, for ACT work keys or for NHS or KMEA or whatever is going on today. So if you were gone today, please watch this video before tomorrow so you can be caught up and know what we're doing and not be completely clueless tomorrow when we're in the library, okay? What I want you to do, I have on here on the screen, I have our classroom up. Go ahead and open up the after this video, I want you to open up the assignment document that has everything explained out for the next month of our lives in history, okay? What we're going to be doing, and we've mentioned this before, we're going to be creating a World War II museum together. Each of you will pick a specific topic that you would like to research further and become an expert on. Consider yourself a storyteller. You'll be telling the story of a person, event, theme, group of people, a terrible tragedy, a remarkable triumph, a societal shift or societal change. The list is endless, so endless, so be creative. Mrs. Yoder will be a big help in that tomorrow, so I want you to watch this today before we go in. She has tons of books pulled of individual stories or stories of groups of people or events that happened that we don't even know about that are super interesting, and those can be springboards for your research topic. So we'll do that tomorrow. And again, each of you will be focusing on a very specific research question. So for example, what you're going to be doing, rather than choosing a topic like concentration camps, you might choose, why was Auschwitz the most deadly concentration camp? Or instead of saying, I want to research women in war, you might research, how did Rosie the Riveter come to represent working women in the 1940s? So very different approach when you have a specific research question like that. You'll be responsible for making an artifact or display for the museum, and I have several examples in the classroom here and some other ones I can tell you about if you have more questions of that later on. That is something that we'll be thinking about later. First, we're going to do the research portion and the writing portion before we do the actual physical display. So there are examples in the back of my classroom that you can look at over the next few weeks, but again, that's not something to worry about right now because we're not going to be doing that first. We'll also be using technology in the sense that we're going to be creating links to some of the writing portion of this. You'll be linking examples of each of the 5 themes. So if you remember those, choices have consequences, individuals have rights and responsibilities, yada yada. Those 5 themes of social studies that we're going to be using those again for this project, and you'll be writing a full paragraph explaining how that theme is evident in your topic and your specific research that you've discovered while answering your research question. Okay, so that'll be linked to your display through QR codes, and I'll teach you how to make those. That'll be something we all do together. So there's not an actual paper aspect to this, like in traditional research activities. It'll be those QR code paragraphs. It'll be the construction of your actual display, and you'll write a 3-paragraph minimum, a full page, single space summary that answers your research question. So the more specific your question, the better, because you'll be able to be more focused on answering it, and it'll help keep that summary very focused and your thesis very focused. So your final product will be a clearly stated how or why question. Notice both of these examples up here, they weren't a who or a what or a when, they were how and why, because those take more synthesizing of ideas, putting together of ideas to answer something and create an argument that way. The 5 proof paragraphs, I'm calling those proof paragraphs, each one proving how one of the themes is evident in your research, okay? And then the QR codes that connect them, and then you'll need at least 4 sources, including 1 book and 1 primary source. Again, a primary source is a first-hand account of something or something that was written during that time. Okay, so some of you might have a book that was also written by the person that lived through that event. Most of you won't, but some of you will, and that can double as a primary source as well. You'll need at least 4 sources still, but those 2 can double if that happens to be your situation. The end goal is to use both writing and creativity to tell the story of your topic. The purpose of the QR codes is to support the idea of a museum. People are able to appreciate and learn from your display even when you aren't there to present. There will be no presentation portion of this at all. It will all be set up for audiences to come through and look at. I have in the past invited the school board members. Mrs. Jost has brought the 8th graders over while they're studying Anne Frank and the Holocaust. I've invited everyone. I will email teachers and ask them to come through as well if they'd like. And just really, the audience of this will be beyond just me. It'll be for members of our community as a whole. So that's kind of a cool factor in that you don't have to actually present it, but your audience is much greater too. QR codes can also be used to link things like YouTube clips or videos that you make or other supplemental materials that go along with your project, whether that be like an interactive map or a website that adds to your overall project or your display, okay? People have linked sound bites as well. So voice recordings of FDR or of Hitler or whatever to also add to their project too. So it's really cool. Any URL can be turned into a QR code. So we can work on that more, but be thinking about ways that can, as you get into the second kind of portion of this project, how that can add to your display. Okay, so brainstorm other ideas, like I just said, as you uncover things in your research. That'd be one of them, thinking about how you can display information or what things you can link. Be creative, because it should be fun. It should reflect your own personal interests in this era or in these topics that affected this era. Some of you might choose more obscure topics. I've had people talk about the importance of correspondence and letter writing during wartime. I've had people talk about not the Holocaust itself, but the extended effects on future generations, and kind of approach it from more of like a biological stance or a sociological stance. I've had people talk about, I have someone did a project last year about Holocaust deniers and people that refuse to believe it happened. So it can be things that weren't just exactly in that time, but things that came from that time or were connected to that time. So creativity is wide open there. Projects are due the week after spring break. So if you scroll to the second page, I have a very detailed, the most detailed thing I've ever given you, calendar for literally the next month, okay? Everything is on here. There will be due dates throughout the process where there will be drafts due, or like on next Tuesday, you have to be prepared for a brief conference with me to tell me your research question, and show me some of your sources and the citations you've created for those sources already. So right here, this is today, the 21st. Tomorrow we'll go into the library. Monday you'll get to work on forming and finalizing your research question and begin finding more sources, and then be prepared when you come in on Tuesday to have a brief conference with me and show me those things that you have prepared, okay? Another reason I have this schedule all made is A, to keep us on track as we go through the next few weeks and not be putting everything off to the end. But B, if you are gone, it is on you to make sure that you get done whatever that day had, okay? If you are gone Tuesday, if you're sick Tuesday, it is your responsibility to email me and set up a makeup time to conference with me, either during LS or right after school or briefly during 6th hour when I don't have a class. It is on you to email me, to reach out and schedule a time for that, okay? I will not be tracking you down. I am putting more and more responsibility on you guys when it comes to this project, because everyone is doing something completely different. And so it's going to be you managing that time and you keep making sure that you're on top of things. And so that's going to be on you to make up things if you are gone. Next Wednesday, I know, is League. Is it League? It's music. Something music. Where a bunch of music's going to be on. Singers, choir, band. Okay. I know a lot of us are gone this day. Worked out nicely. It's a work day, but something that you need to be still aware of, that's what you missed out on, and that there will be a deadline coming up the next week about having your first draft done of all your writing, okay? So just make sure that you're keeping up on these things. Everything is written out there for you. We're going to be getting our research and our writing done first before we start to actually build anything. And so that's what this whole calendar is there for. Your project will be due March 21st, like I said. The week after spring break falls early this year, so it kind of benefits you in that you get, if you choose or have the time, you get all those days to work on it if you'd like. There's nothing due over spring break. There's no expectations over spring break. You still have the same amount of class time as you would have had it been before spring break, but it falls afterwards. So that's how that's going to work. I will try my hardest to get materials for you when you get to the building stage of your project. A lot of times, though, it's going to take, if you want something else and you want it to be really cool, or you want something beyond what I can get you, it might take some gathering of resources outside of class. You are by no means required to do that, but you're not going to be told not to either if you want to add more to it. So we will try to get what we can. We have some supplies here. We're going to work on, I think, ordering, Mrs. Riches and I, ordering a few more things for her geography project and this project together. But you're probably going to have to think about and be creative with some of the resources if you're going to need some other things. So there's something else to think about. The last page on here is the rubric. Okay, something I've told all the classes too today, that this is an entire process of grading. It's not just your final product. Is it pretty? Okay, it's going to be a whole process of research, the class time effort, the commitment outside of class. They're all part of the total grade. And that commitment out of class means, are you ready to show up and be there for peer edits? Are you ready for conferencing? Are you gathering the materials as you need them? That kind of thing. And to fall into this exemplary category here, and the A category really, it's going above and beyond the basic minimum. Okay. If you look at this 2 category, which would be kind of like a C, this is just, it's done, but it's not great. It's messy. It's not, much thought hasn't been put into it. It's completed, but lacks finishing touches. It's clearly bare minimum. Okay. So sometimes I think we expect to get an A because we did everything, even though it's not well done. So we're really focusing on craftsmanship, focusing on the revision process, having peer edits, having peer critiques, and going through that revision and creation process over and over again. Okay. Again, this week, make sure before tomorrow that you read through all of this again, look through it on your own. Come in, if you want to tomorrow, look at, or next week, the examples that are in my room. We can talk about those. I can give you some more information on those as well. The calendar is your lifeline. Make sure you are keeping up with this document, okay? This is for you now, so you can manage that. And then lastly, if you are one of the kids that has already started your research project for English and you have chosen a World War II topic, I am okay with you doing something in the same realm as that topic, but we're going to work on a specific question for this project. So if that topic built background knowledge for you, great. We're going to take that background knowledge and take this project in a different direction. So you're not going to be doing the exact same thing that you did for English, okay? And then also, kids that are doing the Europe trip, I highly encourage, I don't require, but I highly encourage you pick something that has to do with something that we're going to see in Europe. I think it'd be really cool, especially the whole D-Day events that we're going to be witnessing. If you want to do something along the lines of D-Day or Normandy or the occupation of France or something like that, it'd be really cool and a good opportunity to do that. I know some of you already are, but something to think about. Not required, just something to think about. So I hope this helped. It's a lot of information. I know I still feel like I'm missing some things, but whatever. Please ask questions as you have them, but come prepared to ask them tomorrow or Monday if that's when you're back next. Because there's going to be a lot going on, and make sure that you're on top of things to make sure that you get your questions answered. Okay, so come with questions if you have them. Write them down. Be prepared tomorrow or Monday whenever I see you next. And the due dates don't change because you have an event. The due dates don't change for you if you're gone today and tomorrow. We still have conferencing on Tuesday scheduled. So making sure that you're getting caught up with stuff. That's for you and your management. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. And we will meet more tomorrow or next week, and this will be awesome. So thank you.